All right. We're here in the spaceship. We got Amon Dessources here to my left, one of Odyssey's black belt instructors. And to my right, we've got the one and only Apollo. That's right, Apollo. What do you think of that? I know that's some good whiskey, but you can't have that though, buddy.
About to get lit.
That's right. First of all, let's introduce who Amon is. Amon is a black belt instructor at Odyssey. He is one of our active competitors. He is also in the trio of the New Yorker, I guess, connection between me, him, and Brandon of the instructors here at Odyssey. And he's one of our future really up-and-coming teachers in our program. I can't say enough about Amon. He is a student of the game. He takes it very seriously. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Amon. I love this guy. He's the best.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I guess the first question I do want to ask you is, when you started jiu-jitsu and what that was like. Where did you start? Where and when, actually. And what was that experience like the first couple of years?
The first couple of years, first I started in Brooklyn, in Park Slope, at a UFC gym. I was teaching. No, I wasn't even teaching yet. I was a salesperson at UFC gym. I was like sales / on my way to management a few months later. But yeah, I started 2017. I was working at a UFC gym in Park Slope, and we had like no-gi twice a week there. So like, I started with striking first, and then eventually they convinced me to try a jiu-jitsu class with this guy named Verge. I forgot Verge's last name, but yeah, he's still out there in New York teaching. And I was just trying it for a couple of days a week. And then I had I guess you could say coworker. I don't want to call it that though, but for easiest terms, a coworker named Jesse Leach. He's a black belt from Vitor Shaolin's.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he was just making phone calls with me every day at the front desk. Like, he was doing sales and so was I. And he would just talk to me about jiu-jitsu every day, and he'd let me ask him a million questions about it. And then they started a gi program there, and I wanted to do more classes, and we didn't have any more, so I started going to UFC Gym Soho, where I met Andrew Franco, the Latin Samurai, on Instagram. And then the first few years was me training in the morning with Andrew, asking Jesse questions in the middle of the afternoon, then taking Jesse's class at night, jumping to Alex Masters Guy on Friday nights, 6 to 9, going to Unity 3 times a week for free blue belt training, Bronx Jiu-Jitsu Friday mornings. And I want to say Saturdays I either rested or I went to Soho. So I was all over the place. Fernando's in Williamsburg. I think UFC Gym Park Slope Jiu-Jitsu up the block with Mark.
Yep.
Up the block from UFC Gym. So I was all over the place for the first few years.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things about Amon's early career is he really soaked up as much information as he could. He really did. That's one of the reasons why he has skyrocketed his jiu-jitsu early, was he learned from everybody. He didn't have like, I'm going to just do this game here. It's like, okay, who's got the best lasso spider? Who's got the best, De La Hiva, reverse De La Hiva? Who's got the best, et cetera. So that was one of the things that he just soaked up information wherever he could. Anyone who was willing to give him information, he was ready to receive it. Yeah, and that's a really healthy mindset. I think sometimes we get in our own little head where we're just like, I just want to do this one thing, and we don't explore other information out there. And he was willing to do that. The community in New York and jiu-jitsu is, me and him both come from New York. It's different. It's just like, it's very collaborative in the sense of like everyone kind of knows each other and everyone's really cool.
I mean, it's too close to not train together once in a blue. Like, you really can't hate the person who's like next door to you. You kind of just have to deal with it. And like, especially Unity, that 12 to like 1:30 slot, that 2-hour slot 3 times a week.
Right.
People were coming from Jersey, from other gyms from Bronx Jiu-Jitsu. So like people who compete against each other were in the same training room because like where else? When else during the week are you gonna get the best competitors from the whole city to be in the same room together?
Yeah, and then Shaolin had he had an open mat. I think it was on
Oh
Saturday.
yeah, I would
Yeah,
go
I used to go
sometimes
that
to
all the time.
Shaolin's.
Yeah,
I think I got lucky too because most of the black belts I train with, for the most part, got their black belt from Shaolin. So like
right. Like Alex and Van and yeah,
Junior, I
Junior. Right.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
Jesse worked there for a few.
I did. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jesse. He's a Gracie who might's a black belt who moved from Florida and then he was working at Shaolin's.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he would put me on like history game and like the first person he ever told me about was Leandro Lowe. But I
Legend.
trained with so
Legend
many
low.
people. I feel bad when I forget some people because
Yeah.
it was so many. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's I mean that's just indicative of the jiu-jitsu scene up in New York. That I had friends that literally trained at I had friends that trained at Unity. I had friends that trained at Alex's. I had friends that trained at Shaolin's, Marcelo's, obviously, Henzo's. Lots of friends at Henzo's. Lots of friends that trained out in Long Island with like Sarah and stuff like that. So it's an interesting community, and I used to bop all the time. I would do the same thing you did. Only I trained during the week at Marcelo's, and then Saturday and Sunday I would just I'd go to Long Island. I would go to Alex's. I would go
Yeah.
to different places in Queens. I went some places in Jersey. I would train over there sometimes. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why you skyrocket. So that's a really cool thing.
I was also addicted. I just wanted to take as many classes as possible.
Yeah,
I got lucky. I didn't really get any serious injuries, so
yeah,
I was just going as many times. Oh, I think the first few years what really changed because it just popped in my head. One time Murillo was closing class, and he said, he just like, okay, see you guys tonight, all the usual stuff, and then he's like, make sure you're getting your 15 hours a week. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting that because I pay attention to why someone said something. So then I went home in my planner and this is the first time I actually wrote, I will write like work stuff, but never my training. So I put my training in the planner and I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't 15. And I was like, all right, if the guys at Unity are getting 15 hours, I should be getting 15 hours.
right.
And after that, after I heard him say that, that's when I was drilling with whoever I needed to, get extra 30 minutes there, extra 45 minutes there, trying to get that minimum 15. And ever since then, I think I was like a two-stripe blue when he said that. I don't remember, but I just remember that day he closed class and I went home and I was like, okay. Like a part-time job,
Right,
right?
right, yeah.
15 hours.
I think what's interesting is when you think about jujitsu and getting better at it, some people ask, "Oh, how many years do you do in jujitsu?" Right? That's an old school. It's not old. I mean, not old school in the sense of like it doesn't exist anymore. But I think we need to examine what that means. How many years? That's just how we look at it. But the reality is, it should be how many hours we putting in, right? So you could be somebody that's training 20 years per se, but you training like once a week at best or twice a week, right? That's right. It's gonna take you longer to. It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna take you much longer to hit that technical skill of like someone who's training. As an example, someone like you who trains multiple times a day, almost every day, and so you get a black belt in 7-8 years. Makes sense. You get guys like an Eldon who's been only training like several years, and he's already like a good purple belt. So you're like it's a different thing when you're training a lot, right? You get that reps in, you're consistently being on the mat. It just your skill just develops so fast, right?
Mm-hmm. Mat time.
Yeah, it really comes down to that. To me, it's always hours on the mat versus years. Because you've got guys that are trained for 20 years, but they just don't have the amount of mat time because, they got kids, they got jobs, they got work, they got hurt. There's many reasons. I mean, even myself, I had to take a couple of years off because I got hurt. So it makes sense. But hours are really where it counts. If you get to ever examine your own jiu-jitsu and you're like, wow, I've put so many hours in these last 2-3 months, I guarantee you've seen something spike in your jiu-jitsu during that time period.
Yeah. I would say the people I notice get good the fastest is like, well, it was Eldon like 21 or 22.
Something like that.
Yeah,
he's a baby.
like you're
He's literally a
under
baby.
25, even from like 15 to 25. Those years of like not having too much to worry about, maybe just going to school like college or high school, and then jiu-jitsu. Like
Right.
there's not really much else to worry about. or the people who work in the gyms.
Right.
They always end up being good.
Yeah.
And I got the privilege to start at 24 and work at the gym basically since I started jiu-jitsu. So
Right.
I was pretty lucky to have that.
Yeah. So from New York moving down here to Atlanta, Georgia, that was during COVID, right?
No, I moved. Well, technically, I moved. It started March 2020. All the gyms shut down, and then I moved 2021 July 4th.
Okay.
So I drove down here on the 4th of July.
Got it. And what made you go to Atlanta, Georgia, as opposed to other stuff? Like, I know
Well,
you were thinking about Miami for a little bit and other things, right?
yeah. So before I moved, all the gyms kept closing and opening and reopening and closing again. And there was just one boxing gym I was working at called Everybody Fights. They didn't reopen at all. So I was like on a furlough, but then they were just like, yeah, we're not reopening. So in 2019, before the pandemic, probably like, I want to say I left UFC gym as an employee like November or something or October. And then I was like, I'm just going to go full-time coaching because that's what was like driving me. So I wanted to become a coach. And then I only had 6 months as a coach before the city shut down. So after a while of like dealing with gyms opening and closing, I was like, I need to go somewhere where I can coach full-time and know the gym's not going to close. So that was Texas, Florida, or Atlanta. And then I ended up choosing Atlanta. And then the first thing I thought of outside of where I'm going to work was where am I going to train?
Right.
And then I saw that Odyssey was up the block from X3, which was the only job I applied to. And they hired me over Zoom. So I was like, I guess I'm working here.
Right.
So, yeah. I didn't even know they had jiu-jitsu or anything. I just saw there was a gym in Atlanta close to the apartment I was going to live in. And then, yeah, 2021, I moved down here so I could be a full-time coach.
Right. And
Big
so,
move.
yeah. So coming to train at Odyssey when you moved down here, what was the connection? Like, how did you fit? Like, why? What was
Oh,
what was that like?
I mean,
Picking us to train with.
it was pretty simple. It wasn't anything intricate. I didn't know. I was still a new purple. I got my purple like September 2020. So I've only had it for a year, and there were no competitions in New York. So like, I was basically an advanced blue belt in my head.
Right.
So I didn't know much except names. So I knew about there was Atos here, but I didn't really know a lot about Bruno. So I was like, maybe I could go to Atos, but I saw it was really far from my apartment.
Right.
And then I saw Odyssey, and then like on the Google pictures, I saw the logo, and I was like, damn, I saw that before. So then I went to Alex Instagram and Weiss Instagram, and they took pictures in front of that. So I was like, oh, my two friends that I know
Right.
went there. I'm just gonna go here.
Right.
Just like anything, your friend puts you on, you like.
Yeah.
Even though Atos is a huge name, I was like, well, I don't know anyone who
Yeah.
went there. My two friends went here,
Right.
so I'm just gonna go there. I think I came down here to like sign some paperwork, and then I hit you up on Instagram.
Right.
And before you got in the gym, I was just sitting on those old couches that was in front of the Marcelo sign. The Marcelo painting. And then I was like, man, it feels good in here. Like, it felt like when I would be sitting on the mats in Unity waiting for class to start, or sitting on the mats at Alex's. Like, there's this certain like frequency that's in the air of like hard work and like no ego. Just you can kind of like feel it. And I was just like, why does it feel like that in here? And then you asked me where I trained, and I told you. And then you like, oh shit, me and Alex been training since white belts. And then I was like, yeah, just gonna do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were trying to get me to train the first day, but I didn't have no gear or nothing.
I would lend you the gi,
Yeah,
bro. Come
I
on.
was like, nah. So, and I had to go back because I think I flew in for just like
I think
a
you
night
even
and a half.
for that one.
Yeah,
day,
I wasn't leaving the next day. Wait, no. Did I drive or fly? I think I flew.
Nah, you had.
That was such a blur. I definitely flew because I didn't have a car yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I remember you taking an Uber to our place because you flew in that day.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah. So
But yeah, it felt good. It felt good in there. And I think when I finally moved later that summer, you invited me for a month but I didn't have a car. I had a rental from some place where like they charge you by the mile. So I was just
I
like,
remember
bro,
that.
like I don't
I
really have
remember
a
that.
car right now. I'm getting Ubered everywhere. First 2 weeks I was living in McDonough, so I was like, bro, I
Oh,
can't really
right.
train that late and go McDonough, come back.
Right.
So it took me a month to actually start training, and then you added me to the group me, and I saw a message that said, "We have a Master Sky purple belt coming in tonight," and then mad people liked it, and I was like, "Oh shit, they're gonna try to cook me." But it was good. It was good training that first night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I rolled with Boz, Latrell.
I miss Latrell.
Um, there's this other purple belt that used to come to the gym. I forgot his name. Caucasian guy, like gray hair, great like salt and pepper hair.
Is it Matt? Is it the guy who he has like a
He trains still.
he has like a
His
wonky hip? That guy?
no, I
Okay.
don't. I'm mad. I forgot his name because he's one of the first people that rolled me, and he wouldn't. My Delahiva X for the first time in years wouldn't work on him, and I was like,
Huh.
what the hell? Yeah, it was crazy because like you and Brandon were coaching all of them against me,
That's
and I was
right.
just like,
That's
what
right.
the hell is going on right now?
Who
But
Shark Tanked him basically.
yeah, but it was good. It was great
It was like,
training.
nah, beat him on his butt.
I was convinced, and
Yeah.
then I just started coming after work because you guys were open late too.
That's right.
Nobody else in the city was open 8 to 9, and I got off work at 8, so that
Right.
was perfect for me.
Right.
But the energy was good. Long answer.
Yeah.
But
No, that's a really good point. And then to also add to that, one of the things that I saw from Amon, it when he came into the room and then I saw him train a couple of times, and I'm like, this guy, he he doesn't even realize it, but he's part of this team. He doesn't even realize it yet because of the way he approaches jiu-jitsu. He has a very we just call ourselves nerds. I mean, that's just really what it is. Like me, you, Brandon, Campbell, right? It's just like it's like we're just nerd out about jiu-jitsu. Like we really get into the sauce about every little detail and why things work and what's the next meta. How can we connect one to the next? Like we're just study it so much that it's part of what we do. And that's a big deal for me in my program is connecting with people like that. And when I kind of saw that that kind of culture from Amon, I was like, he is going to fit in like a glove.
yeah, I think Corey, White Belt Corey, he said it the best. He said Odyssey is a competitive learning environment because you
Ooh, I
can
like
come
that
in
one.
and
I like that.
want to scrap and be the best at doing all the rounds, but like, are you competitive about knowing the ins and outs of the positions?
Right.
Like, do you rush to answer the questions, or do you rush to help someone through their issue? Like, it's basically like a college. It's like a Georgia Tech, but in the training room.
Right.
I would say, based off the people that I meet that go to Tech. So, but yeah, we are nerds.
Yeah, we definitely are.
No offense to the Georgia Tech guys.
No. What would you say was one of the like advice you would give to somebody that skyrocketed you so fast? From
Recover.
yeah. Okay.
Because that's gonna give you more training days, and watch film if you can. Compete a lot. I got lucky though. We had a lot of grappling industries. That's 8 matches in a weekend right
Yeah,
there.
that is.
So, gi and no gi. And if you do absolutes, you're looking at 12 or 13. Because I
Right.
did 13 one day as a white belt.
That's a
But
lot.
advice: recover, be patient. But to get good fast, I feel like there's no exact formula besides try to be on the mats as much as possible, especially new people. A lot of people don't realize, like, I come from a sports background, so even when my ankle was hurt in basketball, I'm on the sidelines watching my friends play, seeing how they run the pick and roll and all this stuff like that. So, like, even if you're hurt, show up and watch.
Yeah.
Take notes.
Yeah, I wish more of our guys, not just the art guys, but just guys in general, right, that would adopt that philosophy. I remember Marcelo telling me one day where I was hurt. I don't know what it was, but it doesn't make a difference. And he would tell me, he's like, no, you should come to class regardless. He's like, come, sit down, watch class, take notes about the technique, watch the technique, watch people spar.
If it was college, you would show up in crutches.
Exactly.
People, like, graduate or, like, leave school, and they think this is different. It's like, no, you have to do your homework outside of class. If you on a cane, try to make it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that for sure because it's easy to find an excuse not to show up. It's cold, especially in New York. It's cold, it's snowing, it's raining, the train's delayed.
Right.
Still show up.
There's all kind of things to do outside, like go to bars, go do that. This. It's always an excuse not to train.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. I mean, it sounds corny because everyone says it, but literally just show up and be patient where you are on the spectrum of technique, and it'll get better if you just take your time and not try to do too much. Because when you're trying to rush too much, then you're gonna get injured. Maybe worse where you can't come in. So I'd say just come in as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, at Odyssey, you're known as the recovery king, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't play recovery.
No. This guy's hitting the sauna all the time. He's hitting the cold plunges.
No cold plunge. I hate the cold plunge. I can't
He's
lie.
hitting the cold
Because
plunges.
someone's going to hear this and they're going to be like, I'm on.
He's hitting the cold plunges coming in 2025.
We'll see.
No. This is going to be part of the regimen we're going to build. We're going to have to go back to the cold plunge because it's key. Anyways, hits the saunas. He hits the steam room. The hot tub. He's very good about his mobility drill work. Very good about constantly opening up his body.
Drills.
The solo
drills. If you want to get better at jiu-jitsu,
yes, that's a great
work on your own. If you can't do it in your
God.
own body, you're not going to be able to do it when someone else's body is resisting.
Yeah,
Solo drill.
I think the first
I missed
time,
that one.
I think the first time I really started noticing how important the solo drills were when I started studying AOJ as much as I did. And I'm like, man, they do a ton of solo drills, man. And they just that mobility and opening up your body to move in a specific way.
Yep.
It preps you for the technique. You're like, okay, now I understand how the long step works. Now I understand how tripoding and shin slicing works. Now I understand the difference between a back step and a long step. The difference between shin slicing and windshield wiping. Right, they look the same, but there's a little difference to them. So being able to move your hips, being able to have good balance and coordination, and all of that's built through movement.
Yeah.
And that's how that's a big part of jiu-jitsu, man.
I would say at a UFC gym when I was a white belt, we had it was for like, it wasn't a grappling dummy, but it was like this heavy bag that was like had a silhouette of a person, and they would use it to like throw elbows and flip and stuff like that. But I would like wrap a gi around it and like do like windshield wipers and back steps. There's a really old video on my Instagram about it, but like back steps on side control. So I would say definitely solo drilling, because that's something I did a lot in the beginning. I didn't really know. It's just like I was boxing first, and I was playing basketball before that. So it's like when you're in the street, you work on your form without the ball in your hand. You work on your dribbles without the ball in your hand. You have to have imagination. Boxing, you shadow box. So it just made sense for me to solo drill with jiu-jitsu because I've done it for other sports.
Right.
I think if jiu-jitsu is your first sport, you don't really know, like, oh, I should probably be moving outside of class.
Right.
That's why the Muay Thai and the boxers who transition, it's easy for them. And wrestlers, they shadow wrestle. But if this is your first sport, especially learn how to solo drill. Right. You got to learn your body. Because who knows you better than yourself?
Nobody.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's a really good one. So when you got down here, I guess talk about some accomplishments, because the one thing about Amon, he's an extremely active competitor, and I think that's one of the also reasons what you just highlighted why you get to black belt faster, right? The more you compete, the more information you have, and the more you can improve your technique because you're super active, and so. Amon is, like I said, one of the more super active competitors we have. And, do you think that, like, how much of that has benefited you? And is that a piece of advice you would give to, like, the newer white belts? Like, hey, be active, get out there.
Yeah. If you have, I don't want to say if you have the money's getting spent somewhere. So, add up all the coffees you do for a month or something extracurricular, and I'm pretty sure that might equal a tournament fee. I'm just safely assuming. But right. Yes, definitely competing a lot, not just for the skills and the medals and the building resume, but just like, okay, this tournament I normalized knowing the venue and the process of checking in. Next tournament I normalized the noise. Third tournament I normalized the referee in my peripherals. Now he's not even there. And then you just start normalizing everything to where it goes from a noisy venue to, oh, it's pretty quiet in here. Like, to me, when I go to the Atlanta Open, there is noise, but I don't hear it because it's so normal.
Yeah.
It's like getting used to the chaos.
Yeah.
But you have to embrace it enough. Just like if you just moved to New York, you're gonna be like, damn, it's noisy in here. But after a few years, you're gonna be like,
Yeah, you don't even
this is
notice it.
regular. You
Yeah.
don't even notice anymore. So I would say just do it enough to normalize those little things. Otherwise, you're focused on so much, you can't worry about your jiu-jitsu because you're distracted by all these things. People yelling. You hear the other coach instead of your own coach. So, yeah, I support competing a lot. Locals, doesn't matter if it's a small tournament. The only reason people call it small is because maybe big names don't enter. But I just saw one of the Meows last year in a Naga. So
Really?
yeah,
That's
you
wild.
got to scroll down, but
Oh.
they jumped or
Oh
what?
shit.
Even Mikey has done a Naga before at black
That's
belt.
true.
So it's like it's not little. There's no little tournaments.
Yeah.
Me and Moose did a new breed.
That's right. I do remember
Now it's
that.
not little anymore because we both do a lot of other tournaments.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's a good point.
just do as much as you can.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I
There
think
are
that's a
no
really good point.
little tournaments. A tournament is a tournament. They're a purple belt. You're a purple belt. They're a blue. You're a blue. Especially the ones that let you fight up a belt.
Mm-hmm.
That is a cheat code that people need to take advantage of. Because if you're fighting someone who's been training longer and slightly more skilled, you're making it harder on yourself. But you, every time you get off the mats, I feel like you unlock one more thing. It's like a video game. You just have to do the level. So
Got to beat those levels, man.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%. So speaking of beating levels, I know you're trying to beat some new levels now because you've beaten some levels. Now you're trying to beat some new levels at the black belt division. So for you, what do you notice is the biggest difference in going from I would say like the junior ranks to the black belt?
I mean, I've only, right now as we speak, I've had 10 matches between June and now. So I didn't notice too much, honestly, physicality wise, especially since I've gained some weight and I went up a weight class. Physicality, I feel fine. The main difference is, it wasn't something I noticed, but Rick pointed out to me. I think we were talking at, I want to say Charlotte or something. I saw him one of these tournaments. We were talking on the side, and he's like, "Yo, at black belt, you don't get that mistake back." And I'm like, "Oh, he's right. Like you mess up, you might be done for the rest of the match. Brown belt, purple belt, you can kind of like catch back up, but like if you mess up that first, it's almost like when I'm doing a black belt match, it feels like I'm doing two matches. Two, like UFC has the championship rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you have to win both of those rounds. So like when I sometimes like you'll look up and you're like, oh, 6 minutes or only 5 minutes has passed because it's a 10-minute round. Then you're like, okay, so you might be down by 12. Now you have to open up. You only got 5 minutes, or you might be up. So it's like the biggest thing I notice is it feels like two matches and you have to be sharp. Everyone's sharp, but it also excites me.
Okay.
Because I know 15-year black belt, 2-year black belt, 1 year, a few months. Whoever I fight, I'm going to download something that's going to make me sharper. No one they're not giving black belts out.
No.
And then you went and you signed up for an IBJJF tournament. So that means you're confident in something that you know. And they know what's going on. You're not just going to trick them. You're going to have to set this up and give them dilemmas and trilemmas. So the biggest thing I noticed is just everybody knows what's going on. You're not going to run into a fool. So this is it. This is work. This is work now. This is my job. So
Yeah, no, that's a good point
you
by
got to be
Rick.
sharp.
That's a good point by Rick. I actually completely agree with that. I think at the black belt level, the biggest difference is that I would call the window to capitalize on something is real tight, and the mistakes, they add up fast. Like you make one mistake, and that one mistake takes you down a rabbit hole of other mistakes.
Like remember Muhammad from Birmingham?
Yes.
I couldn't butterfly sweep him, and then he ended up passing my guard the last minute.
That's right.
So then you said, yo, you need to... You actually didn't tell me to work butterfly. It was like, I don't know if you meant to do this or not, but I remember that weekend you were like, so Amon, I think we should teach butterfly. And then I was like, you want me to teach the thing I just messed up on?
Yes.
I was like, I bet.
Yes.
I don't know if that was on purpose, But I was like, cool. And then I went to the Wardzinski seminar. And then fast forward a few months later, first match at Master Worlds, I hit the butterfly sweep and dropped 18 on a dude.
Yep.
So, like, that one mistake at black could turn you into a monster
Yep.
against someone else, which is why I'm excited because, like, sure, I made a mistake now, but I feel bad for whoever sees the next version of me
Yeah,
because
that
I'm not
makes
making that mistake again.
no.
You know?
But yeah, that's the things get magnified at black belt. I think that is absolutely the difference I notice. You know, I watch black belt matches that it's, you know, 5 minutes, 6 minutes go by. It's, you know, pretty even. Maybe it's 0-0, a couple advantages here and there. Someone makes one mistake, and all of a sudden it's like 12-0, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, that went fast. It's because it's just how the sport works. You know, I make one mistake. Now the guy's in like a tripod passing position.
Yep.
Now he goes from passing to mount. So that's 7 right there. Then I turn. Now he takes my back.
But it makes sense. We get awarded for dominant positions. So
Correct.
if you make a mistake, you're going to be dominated.
Correct.
So now if you don't want to be dominated, you got to minimize your mistakes. And there's definitely a gray area of pace. I'm starting to realize, okay, like I told Campbell this. I think I realized I want to say it was Nashville Open. I realized there's a moment where you have to be able to recognize. It's not even about techniques anymore. It's like those little gray areas, like, oh, is this guy in a defensive cycle? Okay, now I should capitalize.
Yes.
Like your hand on the mat over there, I have to catch that because now you were defending me. So now I have to not speed up, but like I have to capitalize on that because the moment that hand comes back, you're not gonna want to post it again. So just recognizing, is this person in an offensive cycle or a defensive cycle? And those are skills you can't really teach until you experience them firsthand.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think black belt's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I agree.
For me.
So to add to that, this week we're going to Vegas. You've been to Vegas a bunch of times. We've been to Vegas a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're always in Vegas, me and you. Feels like it's because of, Master Worlds, you got Nogi Worlds,
This is my first Nogi Worlds.
No, yeah, but I'm saying in general, we're always in
Yeah,
Vegas.
at least once a year.
Yeah,
At
like
least,
we're there all the time, whether it's Master Worlds or Nogi Worlds, we're always there. So, but this is your first time doing Nogi Worlds, which is interesting. Not just first time doing Nogi Worlds at black belt, first time doing Nogi Worlds, period.
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah.
I was known as the gi guy. For
Yes,
a while, which is crazy.
we joke in the gym. Even Dan, Master Dan upstairs, like he's the one who Amon, the gi guy.
Yeah.
He always calls you the gi guy Amon.
But that's only because when I came down here, I told you my struggles with gi. I would medal in no gi, and then do terrible in the gi, and you were like, "We'll just focus on gi." So I did gi for a year straight, and everyone who met me down here at purple belt just assumed, "Oh."
He's
But
the gi guy.
I started in no gi. Those are my roots.
Okay.
I didn't put a gi on till like probably 7 months in.
Wow, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh
You
shit!
can
See,
ask
I didn't even
any-
know that.
My only gi class was Friday night at either UFC gym with Andrew
Okay.
or at Alex's gym. But in the mornings with Drew, we did no gi. from
Bro,
like
everybody in
7
Atlanta
to
knows you
9.
as the gi guy.
I know.
It's weird. Like whether it's any of our friends up at Atos or Alliance, but they're just you're the gi guy.
I was terrible in gi up there. Like I would win the locals, but IBJJF, I won gi white belt 2018, and I didn't win a gold there until 2022.
When you came here.
Yeah, I didn't win gold IBJJF, gi or no gi, for 4 years.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of how awesome was that experience? Winning
What?
gold at Master Worlds.
that was cool. That was I think about that like at least once a week. Not like the moment of winning, but just how that day went, and like forgetting my headphones, or I think I forgot them in my bag at the B&B. The Uber was late. I didn't get a warm up. I checked in on the front table. They called my name right away. Like it was
Everything was going against you.
I was like, oh, okay. And I ended up not stalling him. I beat him by 2, but I like wrapped his lapel around his leg. Cause I was like, I knew he was a capoeira guy. And I was like, no, I can't have this guy jumping around. So it was cool. That was my first time competing in Vegas at Master World. So I didn't think I was going to win. I just
Right.
thought I was gonna do decently, but
Like win a match or something kind of thing, right?
yeah. And then I subbed the next 4 guys after that, so I was like, oh, pretty cool. So that was a cool experience.
That finals match was fire.
Yeah, I forgot that guy's name.
And Nico, dude.
And Nico,
I
yeah,
remember it.
And Nico.
I remember that.
That was
that was a
my
crazy
hardest match. But that match unlocked the idea to not give up. Cause he was so heavy when I was trying to lift him. I was like, bro, I can't lift this dude. And that was the moment I was like, all right, cool. You just gotta like not stop. Whoever stops loses.
Yeah.
And I think I ended up taking his back.
You did.
And
And finishing with the bow and arrow, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first major in Vegas. And now we're on the 4th one.
That's right.
Yeah, one at purple, brown, Master World's black this year, and then Nogi black.
Let's see.
Year.
But yeah, this
year in Vegas.
Yeah, we're there like all the time now. But yeah, first like to go back, first time doing Nogi Worlds. We've been, I mean, as an academy, you see, we're definitely on a pretty heavy Nogi kick for the last. I don't even want to say a couple months. Like it was heavy in 23 for the latter part of it, and a good portion of 24 we were kind of focusing on it, and 25 is going to be even more.
Yeah, you guys were ahead of me because I was still training for Master Worlds in the gi.
Right.
But I think I'm gonna start the Nogi focus like earlier in the year, just like on that adult schedule.
Yeah. How do you feel about the modern Nogi game? Like how do you feel about it as opposed to like the gi game? Do you like when you compare the two?
In my head, the gi. No offense to anyone, but the gi is like the gentleman, like the guys with the napkin, and then like the Nogi guys, they're still cool, but they're like at the diner, whatever you call the counter, just slamming the mug down. They're nice to the lady and everything. This is like my imagination running,
Okay.
but like the Nogi guys are just like the bros, and the gi guys are like the gentlemen with class and taste. And it's hard for me to relate to some of the Nogi guys, but I like it. I like the spectacles and everything. But I think I'll say this, Nogi is the purest form of expression because you could do all the moves. You can reap, you can heel hook, everything is legal. Gi is just like bougie almost.
Yeah.
But I like both. But I'm
bougie
liking
fighting.
Nogi.
I like that.
I'm liking Nogi.
We're gonna call gi jiu-jitsu bougie fighting.
Yeah.
And then we're
it's
called
bougie,
Nogi. It's
man.
gonna be
With your belt and your...
I don't know what Nogi could be. What's the opposite of bougie, Nick? What would you call it?
No frills?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Ratchet. I like that.
Ratchet.
Ratchet. That's the word. Ratchet jitsu and bougie jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, man.
Are you going to be ratchet jiu-jitsu or are you going to be bougie jiu-jitsu?
I'm getting Ratchet 2025.
Yo, let's make ratchet a thing in 2025.
Also, your bag is lighter.
That's true.
I packed my bag last night for Nogi Worlds. I'm like, oh, easy sell. Because fucking, you need a uniform to train in while you're down there. And then a second one to compete in. And one just in case they deny your gi. Unless you got money to buy a new gi on the spot.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, 3 gis, that's 12 pounds in your luggage already.
And to be honest, when it comes to Amon, you probably need a 4th gi because they always
Yo,
they always
all
ban
the
his
time
gis.
checking my pants.
All the time.
What's up with that?
Yeah, even mid-match. Like
I need to make a compilation of all the
it's
times
kind
they
of
make me
crazy.
change
Like
my pants.
he'll get approved by the ref from the check-in. Then he gets on the mat, and midway through the match, it's like they like
Sometimes they don't let me on. They'll just look far like I'm
No,
like,
they've
bro.
done it mid-match to you, bro.
Yeah, that's
which is
happened,
that's just insane to me. It's like, oh, by the way, go change your clothes. And you're like, wait a second, I was in a certain position with a certain grip. Now you want me to change my entire uniform?
Yeah, I think
It's so insane.
it was either Rachel, Caitlin, or like one of the girls noticed like, oh, it's because I remember who it is, but their name is blank right now. But they noticed my warm up is when I have this thing where I'm like crouching and like stretching, and it hikes my pants up higher than they actually are. And then if I don't pull them back down,
That's so
yeah.
annoying. But yeah.
But I'm not gonna stop that warm up. I got a longer gi pants now, but you might not see me in gi pants for a while, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna be
We're
on
getting Ratchet.
Yeah, we
You're
are.
gonna
We're getting
see my
ratchet.
legs.
We're getting ratchet in 2025. You with that, Nick? I like that. Ratchet 2025.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the thing. So, so speaking of Nogi Worlds, we got a squad going out there. And
15 people.
Yep. And
That's
so
probably the biggest one.
I think so. And so for you being one of the leading instructors at Odyssey, how do you feel about the rest of the team? Like, what's your thoughts on the team going out there?
I mean, I'm always confident in the team because I see them show up in the training room. But like, this is probably the most reps I've seen the team get. Brooke jumping into this tournament, Ben jumping into every tournament, driving the tournaments.
He's driving 5 hours away for things crazy.
Made a goal for like 10 tournaments. I don't know if
he's pretty close.
Yeah, so I'm like, everyone has just been active, like we were talking about earlier.
Eldon's like doubling up every day.
Yep, absolutes, regular. So I'm like, oh, okay. People are going to noon class, night class, coming into drill, coming in open mat, getting extra rounds. So I'm always confident, but this is the most confident I've been about any squad. I think there's gonna be like really good turnout. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same path there. Last year when we went to Nogi Worlds, we took it was DK, Sam, Eldon, and Walter, right? I don't think there was just those four, if I remember correctly, right? That was because you came with us, Nick. So there was just us four, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. And basically we came back with 3 medals, which is 4. Yeah. If you count Walter's double his
Did
gold,
he get gold and silver?
He got gold in his division, and then he got bronze in the open class.
Bronze?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he lost against a guy who was just huge.
Okay.
Guy was just like a tank.
Yo, no one can take Walter down though.
He's really like you're better off pulling guard against him. Seriously.
I witnessed it in Pans. I'm like, bro, no one's taking this guy down.
No.
This dude was like 6'4", couldn't take Walter
down.
But that's his stand-up. He does like Muay Thai and stuff.
I know, and he's very good at changing angles. He's very good at lowering his level. He's good at being heavy on the head. He's good at like taking hands off and getting 2-on-1s and creating angles to get single legs and stuff. You're better. I mean, I'm not giving a game plan for his opponents, but yeah, you're just better off pulling. Right, I'm just being honest. Like you might be able to sweep him, and then at least like you're on top. Like in a good position.
He's heavy on top.
I know that. I know. He was supposed to do it. He just missed the registration date. But he was missed it. Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, but we got a squad going out there. We got 2 black belts, right? We got you and Sarah going out there, which is cool.
Yeah.
We got
the perps.
We got purples, right? We got a lot of purples actually. A lot of adult purples. A lot of blues, right? Right? Yeah, a lot of them. Purples. You got Jared.
This is Ben's first major.
I think so. And this is Jared's first major.
Oh, wait, no. Where did I see Ben? Oh, no, that was Nashville.
Yeah. I don't think he's done a major yet.
No.
Ben hasn't done a major. Jared has not done a major. I don't think Campbell has, right? No, he did Nogi Pans.
No, he did Nogi Pans last year.
He did. But yeah, I think most of them. Yeah. And then you got Sam and Eldon that are both doing adult purple this year, and they both medaled last year at Nogi Worlds. They had credible runs. I mean, I think I've told this on a different format, but what they did last year is absurd. Like they had 100% submission rate going into the semifinal match.
Yeah, I'm extremely confident in their performance. Yeah, I really like watching. Eldon's one of my favorite people to watch compete.
Me too.
It's just unreal.
Me too.
I just don't understand it.
Me too.
I don't get it.
No, Eldon's
and it's not meant for me to get. I just like watching.
Yeah, no, he executes well. His control is ridiculous. He's got very good hips from his guard. Like you actually rather be, to be honest, you're better off pulling guard against.
No one's built like him though.
No,
he's like built to assassinate people.
Yeah,
he's just like lanky but can play little. It's very annoying.
Yeah, he's got long limbs, but he plays a very compact guard, which is really bad for someone on top, to be honest.
Yeah,
because he could snatch those triangles.
I have troubles rolling with him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's middle heavy or heavy? Yeah, that's pretty nuts, man.
Yeah, he might have to go to heavy at some point. I think he's starting to put on a lot of muscle.
I mean, if he starts lifting, which he should, I don't see anyone really giving him any issues.
Like even Sam had to move up a weight class this year. He did light feather last year. He's doing light this year. He couldn't make light feather. There's no way he's making light feather again. He
Wait,
killed.
feather? You mean?
I'm sorry, feather.
Feather?
My apology.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
fam ain't no damn
Sorry,
life.
sorry. That's my
He's-
apology. Yeah.
'Cause I was a life.
Yeah. No. You're right. He did featherweight. He did featherweight last year at. He did featherweight last year at Nogi Worlds. Took third. And then this year he's like, I just have to do lightweight. He's like, I just can't do feather anymore. That's what it felt. Sorry. Feather.
I mean, if you can get strong and keep your athleticism and not mess your wind up, I support that because I feel great at feather right now versus light feather. But I never was able to make light feather in Nogi anyways.
Yeah.
But with 15 people, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. Is there anybody in the gym that you think that you would have loved to see them do Nogi Worlds? I think they would have had a good run just out of other people.
That is not coming?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'd have to think about that. Off the top of my... I mean, Walter's an obvious one, but he just missed the deadline. Yeah, really, all the people I see in Nogi that kill the game are going.
Okay.
You know?
Mine was seeing Tyson. I was hoping to get one shot at
Oh, right. I don't know why he slipped my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, but
He's
got
other things.
forever.
He's got
freaking
other things
18.
working on.
Yeah.
Man, that he's another one of our like guys that you got guys like him and Eldon and Campbell. Like those young kids they're gonna be funky when they're in their mid-20s, bro. They're gonna be problem black belts when they're 25. You know what I mean?
Pretty nuts.
They really will. So getting back to the teaching aspect, I wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit. Being a teacher and an athlete yourself, how much is teaching? What has it done for you? Has it made you a better student of the game? Has it made you a better athlete?
Yeah. Well, not a better athlete, but just better student of the game. Like, because I have to see how you're messing up the technique, and then I need to be able to translate how I want you to move your body, which is a constant thing that you have to craft over time. I've only really been coaching again since 2019, so it's only been 5 years.
Right.
So, I'm a great coach. Everyone tells me that. I'm not just saying that because of myself. This is just feedback from everyone. So, like,
No, you
I'm
are.
good at
You're a very good
translating,
teacher.
But I wouldn't say it made me a better athlete, but it made me understand the game better and how to translate it, and that embeds it further into my subconscious.
Right. Do you feel like you learn better at least?
Learn better by teaching?
Mm-hmm. I think that's done it for me.
I think because it's almost like experiencing. It's like you learn life better when you see different walks of life, and I'm seeing different walks of jiu-jitsu. This person needs me to say it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like one person, I'm like, switch with me. Like if I say switch with me, they won't know what I mean. So some people I have to, like, if I need to show the drill on their part, I'm like, let's trade places real quick.
Right. I
Just
do remember you
those
telling me
little
that.
things.
I do remember you
like
telling me
that, or like take your, like, some people need it simple, some people need it, even simpler than that. So I try to treat it like I'm explaining it to a child.
Yeah.
But one cheat code I did realize is the faster I get people good at jiu-jitsu or help them get there, the more training partners I have.
Facts.
I
wish
teach
more
you how to
people
beat
understood
something that I'm doing. Now you are now shutting down my game, so now I have to make my game even better. So, like, I remember the first time Homer did that little trick I like in HQ to me, and I was like,
pitching the knees together?
yeah, that's the coolest part of teaching, when someone does it to you. You're like, oh, you're listening.
Yeah.
You're like, you're paying attention,
Yeah.
So, like, we got freaking Caitlin doing Bermuda now. So I'm just like, bro, what the hell? She's like 1 year in, like, putting me in a bear trap, and I'm just like, why do we show you these things? But that's what you want, right? You want them to be able to use it.
I think I did that to Jared. Like, I taught him, because he was like trying to play like a seated guard. So I taught him like all my butterfly sweeps and my entries to X and stuff. And now, like, anytime he grabs me on the mat and I do train with him, like, he's annoying now. Like, I actually have to run away from him a little bit. I don't want to really run away, but it's annoying. He's constantly elevating my legs because he's gotten good at that, like, scooping the hips under and getting his hips under mine. So I become he's the floor, and I'm like kind of moving around. I'm floating.
Yeah.
But I do think that teaching does make your jiu-jitsu a little bit better. At least for me, what it did for me is it made me realize how to articulate what I'm doing, and I have to think about that. So if I want to teach you like an arm bar, I got to teach you all the different mechanics of it, but I don't have it as a script. So I have to think, I do it this way, and I have to think about how I do that and why I do that. And by describing that, now when I go back and train myself, I see it so much more clearly.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like I'm teaching myself a little bit.
You also don't realize what goes into a move until someone asks, and you're like, oh, well, I didn't
Yes.
realize I was subtly doing this, you know? So just little details. And I always open the 6 p.m. for questions and observations. Because I remember one time even one of the students threw in, like, I noticed you're flexing your hook instead of having a lazy foot. And then I tested out the lazy foot, and I was like, yeah, if your foot's lazy, you'll fall off of the turtles. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know I was doing that. So, like, yeah, teaching definitely makes you better. Athletic-wise, you just got to stay in that gym and get your own rounds in and stay sharp.
Yeah,
But,
facts.
yeah, it definitely helps with the learning aspect. And, you know, when I'm 45, I'm probably going to be a beast at teaching because I'm only 32 now,
I can't
5
imagine
years
that.
in.
Do you think that the way we kind of speaking of teaching, do you think that our format at Odyssey, where we do a lot of situational and positional rounds with specific goals in mind, do you feel like that helps at an early rank?
Yeah, yeah, because it gets you to focus just on that. Because if you do a regular round, you'll probably be in that spot for like 20 seconds
Or maybe never
max.
see it?
And then, yeah, and then you're not going to see it again. So I like a mix of like positionals and then open rounds. Just so, because I will say this, if you do too many positionals, you forget that this student right now, yes, they're bad at HQ maybe, or they need more work in HQ, I should say, but you maybe forgot how much of a beast they are
At something else.
at something else.
Right.
So, like,
That's a good point.
sometimes I just open around just to remind myself, like, right, this guy's good at butterfly X, or this person's good at passing. I forgot because we were focusing on just this one thing. So you
That's right.
open the whole sequence up, you know?
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
But I think it's all important. Positionals and just telling them, like, yes, we're doing open rounds, but try to find this thing that we've been working on.
Oh yeah,
Try to take the back from the top and the bottom.
I emphasize that so much. Like whenever I teach my class, you know, I say, let's say for example, we're teaching, I don't know, a butterfly sweep as an example, right? And I'll do, you know, 2 rounds just with that one position where I tell the person on top they can't stand to pass. Play low. Be a good training partner. Try to body lock them. Try to force half guard. Try to side smash them.
Yeah, if you can't stand, you have to body lock.
That's
And
right.
if you don't have a good body lock, then you better
That's
get
right.
one.
So both people have to
Yeah.
benefit from this, right? You're going to deal with someone who likes to pass low, and you're going to get used to using your hooks and maneuvering them around. And the other person is like, well, I like to pass, you know, standing up, but it gets you used to, well, what happens if the guy is so good at, like I would say a supine guard position, I have to sit down and play on my knees. Well, you're going to find a way to pass that. You're going to have to body lock. You're going to have to force half guard. You're going to have to start side smashing the legs.
Yep.
You're going to have to do things like that. So
It's a video game.
That's right.
It's just like this month we're on this level. If you don't get good in this level, then like, cause I will say, in my opinion, like if you're forced into a position, you either say fuck it or you say no, I'm gonna get good at this because I don't want to lose this game because I know coach is gonna keep giving us this game every night and I just lost Monday through Wednesday.
Right.
Let me just look up some body lock stuff real quick.
Right.
Like when my knee was hurt, that's where my body lock game elevated when my knee was injured.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah, I was like, damn, I can't even stand right now. So then, like, I started passing on my knees for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I remember going against some big guy. He was like, since when can you body lock? I was like, since I couldn't stand up. I had to.
You know what's funny is I've been doing something kind of similar, maybe not with the injury stuff, but like, for example, like body locking for me, right? I don't body lock. And if you train with me, I feel like Greg body lock. That's weird. But I do now, and it's because so I my 2 main sources are shout out to Sean Williams and Nikki Ryan's instructional. Those 2 things changed my body lock ideas altogether. I started playing different techniques off the 2. Some of them are very, very similar. A couple different setups and a little intricacies to it, but there's a lot of similarities there. And so I just started digesting the information a little at a time. And I would go into the training session tonight. I'd teach you guys, and then I'd pull 3 guys on the side, like during a sparring round. I'd be like, do you mind if I just work body lock passing? And I would put a long arm and a short arm. And I'd say, okay, now go. Now just all I want you to do is try to get to a guard position. You can get back to a butterfly. You can get back to close guard. That's fine. Half guard, no, we still keep going, but I want to get better at it. And then over the course of, it was very, very fast. Over the course of like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. By that time, I'm starting to get so much better in the control position. And then I upped the challenge myself. I was like, okay, now we're going to start in a butterfly position, and I'm going to try to get to it. So now I had to come up with my setups where I would club the guy in the head and then go for a tight waist. Or I would, try to stand up and they would, like scoot in and then I would flatten them out again. Or I would just play around and find my entries. And then once I got there, I realized like, oh man, as I see it coming, that's when I'm in trouble. So the real hole for me was not the finishing at the end, and it was definitely not the setup. It was that space in between, getting from the setup to
when
the
they
finish.
recognize it.
Yeah, so that's now where I'm at in that little space. But
that helps you get good too.
Oh my
Having
God.
a goal in training.
Yes,
Just know what you're about to do. Am I gonna try to armbar people?
that's right.
Am I gonna try to body lock? Or if you just don't know, then you're just gonna get a sweat. And
You're
that's
just
it.
literally gonna go
That's
and
how you
train
get good
mindlessly.
fast. Set some goals.
Yes, I did that earlier this year. It was towards the end of 23. I says, man, I was like, I am just gonna focus on leg locks for like the entire year.
Yeah,
And
your outside heel hook got better since you did that.
yes,
Yeah.
like significantly better, man. I feel much better with my outside heel hook. Not so much with cross ashi. I feel like that one is still a work in progress for me. But honestly, like a lot of details I got from Brandon about like the mechanics of the finishing. Really had to control that knee line and not let them out. And some setups I got by watching Eddie Cummings a lot, to be honest. And to be honest, and Sean Applegate showed me a couple things that I kind of put into my game as well. And because of that, now I feel very confident with outside heel hooks. I feel like that's probably one of the positions I feel very strong in. And it's weird too because outside heel hooks were like out of fashion for a while because we went in like in out with heel hooks. It was like outside heel hooks, outside ashi heel hooks were like a thing. Then they went away, and cross ashi or inside heel hook became like more popular. Now we're cycling back the other way where you're watching like B team guys, you're watching 10th Planet guys. They're getting really good at the outside heel hook again, and it's become a thing again. And you see it in ADCC or any other high level tournament. So it comes in cycles and waves, but having a focus is very important. It's like, I want to get good at this specific thing, arm bars, triangles, whatever. Right. So specific goals are very important. One last thing I did want to ask you is when it comes to the competitive scene in jiu-jitsu, right? So it's like IBJJF is probably the premium one in the gi, and it's definitely premium in no gi as well. But you're starting to see a lot of other things pop up, whether it's like CJI. Obviously ADCC has always been a thing, but ADCC Opens are much more popular now. But really, the focus that I've been looking at is all the others. They're not really. I don't call them sub-20, but they're like the next upcoming wave of things. Like PGF is really popular. They pay a lot of money. You've got Fight Pass that's paying tons of money out. You've got all these other events that are pushing jiu-jitsu in a more professional circle, I would call it.
Yeah.
Whether it's even like Abu Dhabi Pro. I mean, there's a lot of these things that are popping up. And making the sport much more professional. And so I just want to get your thoughts on like, those, I would say, non-IBJJF and non-ADCC venue events.
I think it's important to pay someone who is putting on and selling tickets to your venue or bringing people to watch. Even in a regular tournament, if I invite, like my brother, it gets so excited about me doing jiu-jitsu. I know if I brought him to a tournament, he might not know everything that's going on, but he might go spend money at a booth for a cool t-shirt.
100%.
I've had friends who don't even train go buy something from the Black Armor table. So it's just like, I brought that person in here.
Same.
But I paid to fight,
Right.
So not to directly focus on the Black Armor table, but like period, like you can be at a Naga or whatever, but paying athletes to do a sport is important because they're putting their bodies on the line. They might or might not have insurance. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to give them what their time is worth. And people can say this is the most prestigious tournament or that's the most prestigious, but the people make it prestigious.
I
It's
agree.
only prestigious because not because you said so. It's because we have a perception and we believe you, and then we subscribe to it. But if all the just like CJI, right?
Right.
If the top athletes say, you know what, we're going over here, and now everybody's like, oh shit. So like, where there needs to be like a grapplers union or something.
Yeah, I
Like
agree with
we
you.
make the sport. Like we all just don't sign up. What are you gonna do?
Nothing. They're in a lot of trouble.
So it's like I think it's good to pay. That way you can say, oh, you know what? Yeah, this is more prestigious, but do you care about prestige or feeding your family?
Yeah, and I think that's a very real thing. And this is, I mean, I love the IBJJF. I've been pro IBJJF for many, many years. You definitely know that how much I push IBJJF and how
That's most of my resume.
exactly, and
IBJJF.
that's what I
Yeah.
push a lot at our academy, anyways. And it's what I've known for many, many years. So this is not even a knock against because what I think they're important. They're very important. But when they do things like the Crown event where they're paying people,
Yeah. See, that's now
yeah,
you're
they're
starting.
heading
Yeah.
in the right
Yeah.
direction. You know, it's like that. It's like when they did the Crown event, like bingo, you understood exactly what this is. You don't have to do everything like that. You could just have all the amateur opens and whatever, and then you do like a Crown event. You one high paying event, and then you build it over time. You
Yeah.
add a second, you
Exactly.
add a
That's a
third,
good
right?
look.
Yeah, it is. So you just
Because you
want to.
have to be. I think I don't know if they're still doing that thing they mentioned where like the top 10 feathers are gonna like you have to be a certain rank feather to even be considered
To
for
even
the crown.
qualify for it, yeah.
So like that forces you to go do the opens more, and I don't know the math on how much you're spending on opens versus the prize money, but period, you're winning money. You're a professional now. You're so
Well,
I think
I would even argue that if you're trying to stay in that top 10, once you get there, it's about just maintaining it,
yeah, yeah.
right? So you could go that route too and say, I've done all this work to get there. Now I just got to maintain it, which just keep winning and you'll maintain
Yeah.
it. So, that's also that too. But yeah, I'm as much as I do love the IBJJF and the ADCC stuff, I'm starting to really, really enjoy what I would call like the other events like like EBI stuff. Like I'm actually becoming a bigger fan of EBI the more I watch them. Or PGF. I love the PGF, man. That was one of the coolest weeks I spent in watching jiu-jitsu, man. It felt like I was watching jiu-jitsu on ESPN, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would say that
That's
their
exactly,
cameras, mics, everything was
bro.
nice.
They knocked it out of the
Yeah,
park, which is kind
facts.
of why I want some of our guys to come, do those things because it's a good look, right? And
Was
then
it YouTube? Was it on Fight
yeah,
Pass for the?
it was on YouTube at the beginning, and then the last day it was exclusive for Fight Pass. So basically, they
Yeah,
used the YouTube to sell the Fight Pass the Fight Pass promotion, which is smart.
yeah. I think it's a good direction though.
Yeah.
And plus, at the end of the day, like you tell your friend you won $10,000 doing this sport you never heard of, they're like, how many years do I gotta spend to get good so I can win?
Yeah.
Not to say it's all about the money, but it
It's
gets
it's
people's
important.
attention.
Absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know?
Like I've told some of my guys before, like if you think about it, like in literally 6 days, Ryan Aiken won $40,000 in a couple days because he won 20,000 for his
That's somebody's salary, right?
exactly. He won 20K for his the PGF itself. Then he won 20K for the team performance because that team gets 100,000 and gets 20 per person.
There. Nice.
So he walked home with 40K that
That's
weekend.
beast.
Yeah, bro. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like to not think about those things is crazy, right? Or you got CGI handing out, 10,000 to show, 1 million to win, and who knows where they're going to go from there. Or like I've heard that the UFC Fight Pass pays very well to show, like very very well.
Yeah.
So it's
You
this
just
is
need a rule set, a agreed upon rule set, and the right sponsors. Because what's the difference between, besides viewers, of course, the difference between NBA, NFL, and us? They have Coca-Cola and all these other sponsors putting money into these things. So, like, you find the right sponsor who likes jiu-jitsu. What one day Elon Musk might be like, you know what? Let me put $1 million into PGF, Now you know what I mean?
Yo,
So,
now these guys are walking away with like
yeah.
50 grand
You just
for
need,
a winner.
You need to tell Zuck and Elon and all these guys
I
like,
think
yo,
they're
what's
thinking.
Oh,
up?
that's
I,
coming.
I think
Come
that.
on,
It's
right?
definitely
Yo,
coming.
I agree. I think Nick's onto something, and you're on. I do think that's coming because it really comes down to when it comes to making this professional, this sport that we call jiu-jitsu, is really finding the investor that will set it up properly, where it's sustainable year over year, and you can pay the athlete extremely well. You know, like you
We
know,
need a. I was gonna make it inappropriate. I'm gonna wait for after.
wait for the Odyssey after dark.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Uncensored.
Yeah,
That's a different channel.
That is a whole different. That is a private channel.
Yeah, it's just, some car insurance sponsors wouldn't be too bad, right?
No.
Some
Dude,
healthcare.
I'll take
This
a
is the
pizza,
economics of jiu-jitsu.
bro. I'll take a pizza
Yeah.
sponsorship. I'll straight up take a pizza
Pizza.
sponsorship.
I need pizza, healthcare, and car insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody
It's like
help me
who
with
you
that.
sponsored by? Chipotle.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah, sponsored by Nation though. Shout out to Mark.
Shout out to Mark.
Shout out Nation.
Shout out
Man.
Nation, man. Yeah, he Nation. Mark, man, makes some of the coolest gear, man. He definitely hooks our guys up with
He
cool shit.
is the Tinker Hatfield of jiu-jitsu.
Pretty much.
Saying that right now.
Pretty much. But yeah, thank you for coming by, man. Amon Dessources, you can catch him at Odyssey. Teaches in the morning at 6 a.m. on Monday and on Friday. He also teaches the 7 a.m. class, which is we call it the comp class, but it's
good vibes.
It's just good vibes.
Good
just
vibes.
just don't
We're
worry
not
about it.
banging
Don't
any
worry
heads
about
into the wall.
no one's gonna like slam you on the mat. It's good training, but everyone's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone's good people there. And then you've got the 6 p.m. slot, which is the basic class.
Every night.
Amon has
All week.
been crushing that 6 p.m. class. It is by far our most popular class. It is by far our most loved class. So shout out to you. You absolutely crushed it this year.
Shout out to the white belts and the blue belts showing up.
Yes, that is.
If no one shows up, I have nobody to teach.
That's right.
So,
That's right. And the real hero of Odyssey this year is the white belts.
yes, shout out to the white
Shout
belts.
out to the white belts. You guys rock. Seriously. So thank you so much, Amon.
Thank you.
And let's go to Vegas this year.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.